And if you're that kind of guy, if you're a homebody kind of guy, you're a culture and or language guy, older, looking for medical care, maybe limited mobility, all these things, having a nice house that complements your retirement could be worthwhile for you. And in that case, it might make sense to build a home. But to build a home, I think you'd want to make sure it actually makes sense for you. And I'm going to have to tell you that home prices and raw land prices in Thailand are what I would like to talk about today is kind of a final analysis on my personal house project, and then that sort of leads to my thoughts for you as to what it feels like to build a house in a good way in Thailand. And apology, I've got a little pimple on my upper lip there. Hope it isn't distracting. I guess any conversation about building a house in Thailand's got to start with, this is a terrible idea. Now, it worked out for me, and that's great, but I put a lot of work in. And if you put a lot of work in, then it can work out great for you too. But most of us don't put a lot of work into this. They build with on the land of a person, a young, beautiful, beautiful lady, way, way, way younger and prettier than they probably really can deal with under the Thai culture, to say. And look at my previous video on saving face and appearances, please. And it goes horribly for them. It's terrible. I've personally known so many guys that have died on that hill, just as my son would say. Disastrous results. It's a very common scam in Thailand for a young, beautiful woman to say that after you've paid for the joke here is you've paid for the hospital bill because her buffalo was sick. I love that joke. That then you need to build a house on her land because she needs a house to save face for her favorite uncle, which is obviously her real husband. And they'll explain this all to you after you've built the house. Or actually, often not, though. Actually, you'll just live there and you won't even know you could live there for 10 years and you won't know. Eventually, you'll realize, gee, she's awfully close with that one uncle. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But I had to get that out of the way because that is, I don't know if that happens a majority of the time or a minority of the time. I can tell you it's not super rare. That I can guarantee you. But for me, I've known Fawn for a long time. And I know her whole backstory, her history. I know all her close friends. I know all the relatives she does and does not get along with and why. I'm good friends with both her parents. I have a great relationship with her children. All these things, right? I know her boss at work is, I would say, a friend of mine. You get the idea. So I know all these people. I know her entire life. I speak Thai rather well for an old expat. Thai is a complicated language, which makes it so interesting. And it's a romance language, in my personal opinion, by the way. They talk about the heart, about everything. When something enters the heart, you understand it. When the heart is black color, you're a bad person. All these things, everything is the heart, the heart, the heart all the time. And it's kind of sweet and beautiful in its own way. I enjoy the language and I enjoy the Thai people immensely. And if you're that kind of guy, if you're a homebody kind of guy, you're a culture and or language guy, older, looking for medical care, maybe limited mobility, all these things, having a nice house that complements your retirement could be worthwhile for you. And in that case, it might make sense to build a home. But to build a home, I think you'd want to make sure it actually makes sense for you. And I'm going to have to tell you that home prices and raw land prices in Thailand are high to a degree that makes no rational sense. Thais look at real estate and a home is extremely important and almost like sacred or something to them in their culture. A Thai family will never sell a home that they own unless they're basically forced to, or some kind of unusual circumstances become the property or the family or something. So when you go to buy something, you pay just a crazy price, double or triple based on what it would be worth. Well, gee, Rob, how could you know what property is worth? Well, interestingly, you can compare it against rental prices, and renting is at a massive discount compared to owning. And to own something and then to rent it for a profit is extremely difficult. I know guys that do it. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. I know a guy rather well, and he's extremely successful with that. But he's smart, and he had a lot of money to begin with, and he's maybe a little bit lucky. Whenever you're successful, there's always a little bit of luck involved. But you get the idea. It's dodgy at best, and you can rent a really high-end condo. And normally, if you do the typical real estate type rules of thumb and all that, I'm not going to teach you guys real estate in this video because I'm not qualified and you don't want to hear it. But if you look into this on your own, you'll find that if you take a value of a property versus the lease, it kind of goes to a certain ratio of prices in the United States, and it will be double to triple that, way out of whack for what someone's going to want for a piece of raw country land with no amenities to it, no sewer or water supply running to it. I mean, just a hunk of dirt that the buffalo stop and graze on once in a while and leave a mess, and they're going to want top dollar for that. I mean, you'd really, so I got to warn you, after you've done all that and you have been here a while and you're comfortable with your surroundings and you're comfortable, you have an actual legitimate need, and you're with the right people and you've got a verified way to go about this, then maybe this does make sense. I'll also tell you, there's off the top of my head, is that there's 3 ways to build a house here. Most foreigners, Falang, which means Western foreigner, and it's not a derogatory term, most foreign guys go the bodhisat route. And a bodhisat is a big company, or what you might call corporation. I know you can incorporate a fruit stand and it's a corporation, but you know what I mean, a bigger company, or a franchise type thing. And they hire the bodhisat. That's the least efficient, least financially efficient, most expensive, most headache prone. What the bodhisat does is the bodhisat is in the big city. Their headquarters is never in some village. It's always in the big city, in the mall. They make so much profit. They open up little shops in the malls with sky-high real estate, and then they have these beautiful young women talk you into building a house with this big company. And then the bodhisat takes your money and then hires the local. It'd be like a Turtigat. They'll hire a Turtigat, which is a small sole proprietorship. They'll hire the Turtigat to build your home, and they'll pocket like a 100%, 150% markup. I mean, it's the construction profits here are way. As a fellow construction guy, man, I wished I could have charged this money. Let me tell you. So, and the bodhisat, other than the doubling or tripling the price of your home, which is literally true. The other problem with it is you've got this layer, this barrier now between you and the guys actually building your home. You really can't talk to the local Chang. Chang is construction worker, and you really can't talk to the local Chang because they're going to refer back to the bodhisat. You're going to have to talk to the bodhisat representative. He's going to maybe drive out when he's got time, and you're going to talk to him. He's going to, hey, let me guess, he's going to speak mostly Thai. And then you're going to have to communicate with him, and then he'll maybe translate some of what you want, maybe not, to the local guys. And you can have fun with it. You can tell I don't recommend this. There's a famous Falang around here that everyone dislikes. I think, and I'm trying. There's a couple people that like everybody, and even they hate him. Not a well-liked guy. And he went bragging around to everybody how smart he was, and he hired this big bodhisat to build his house. And his house is way smaller than mine and costs twice. So you figure it out for yourself if that's the way you want to go. Strong not recommend on that one. Next is you can hire the Turtigat yourself. I guess that's what I did. I built my wall hiring just local workers, and I had Fawn's dad. And which if you're in good with a good family, they'll do this for you. He worked for free every day for 4 months and built the gampang, the wall around the land. The gampang first, top tip, so people won't steal from you. Theft here is much less than in the United States. For example, the Thais are unusually honest people, very less prone to theft. I mean, still thefts happen, I get that. But if you pile up a brand new construction materials, and you are a foreign person, so it's not exactly exactly the same as stealing from a fellow Thai. You see where this is going. You're better off having the gampang and the gate up first. You can lock all your construction supplies. Now, having said that, we left our stuff unlocked many times, but when the steel started showing up, because steel's valuable here, steel costs the same here as it costs in Detroit, and that means it's big bucks out here in the rice fields. Kun Pa made a tent and slept out here every night we had the steel. So that told me all I needed to know about what items they want around here. So I hired the local Bodhisat, and Turdigit, and that worked out pretty well. Worked out very well for me. I could have gone one level lower, like I did with the Gampang, and just hiring the Chang directly, just a couple of helpers for Kun Pa. With my wall, that was great. I built a 170-meter long wall that's about 9 feet, so 2.5 meters, or almost 2.7 meters or something, whatever that translates to, tall. And that cost me $400,000, all installed, done, and painted. And with the fancy stainless steel wrought iron style work. And the stainless is a big deal here. I got a super deal on it, or I wouldn't have done it, but it was literally the same price as painted black metal, and stainless won't rust. So I hated to do it because stainless is kind of the way you say how rich you are. The gampang serves the functional purpose of keeping the street dogs out, keeping thieves out secondarily, and then it indicates the status of the home, your status. I'd rather have mine taken down a notch, in all honesty, but I wasn't going to pay the same amount of money for plain metal versus stainless. So that's that one. So there's 3 ways to do it. Hiring the guys, and then with the hire of the guys, you pay a day rate, and then you'll pay them like every Friday, or sometimes even every day. But generally every Friday is better, because they'll want to go get some alcohol, and then they'll sleep it off over the weekend, come back on Monday. That's the best way is pay on Friday. Take my word on that one. And I did both, and those are good ways. The Bodhisat is a big no-go for me. What else can I tell you about building a home? For me, so I got a honkin' hot deal. I have a 140 roughly square meter home, including the garage. They include the footage of the garage and the front porch when you include the footage of a house, by the way, different than back in the West. Almost screwed myself with that when you get away. I didn't realize that until later in the process. So I have 140 square meters. But the actual house is 1,100 square feet. We'll call it with like a 1 3/4 car garage, because it's basically for a big motorcycle and a medium-sized car, and then a small front porch. And for that, I paid a total cost, paint, some furnishings, pretty fancy interiors you'll see from the photos, and hence like this library here. Nice windows, everything. The metal roof with the 2 inches of foam and the nice finish embossed into the back of the foam, so it looks pretty. Painted everything. Exposed steel structure means the steel's all got to be cleaned and painted, primed and painted, all that. I paid 2.1 million baht and then 400,000 for the wall, so I'm at 2.5 million. I see homes for sale here all the time at this size without the wall, so I'm at 2.1 for just the house, and they're at 3.5 million. So I got a low price even for a Thai. So to say I got the Thai price is I at least got the Thai price. I kind of got the good Thai price. But I was speaking the language, negotiating with the contractors, reasonably, never pushing anybody hard, because that's not fair. But they'll take advantage if you don't push. And Fawn's mom is an extremely good negotiator, and we kind of double team them a little bit. And I'd make a little joke about a discount, and I'd offer a price that was way too low because I didn't, supposedly didn't know any better. And then they'd get a little offended, and then her mom would go, well, look, we don't really need to go that low. Let's just go a little, we did that kind of stuff. And just to keep everybody honest and make sure the pricing was fair. And Fawn monitored all of this, as did her dad. And we made sure that we didn't take advantage of anybody, but we didn't want to be taken advantage of either. Okay, and we clearly weren't. It's been good. Now, was this a stressful process? Extremely stressful and painful. Very, very difficult. Very emotionally difficult. Financially, it's kind of draining, because I originally want to say I planned for about $1.7 million. I was going to say, probably guessing. I was, in theory, it was a 1.4 million baht home. I knew that wasn't going to happen. But I was kind of thinking 1,700,000, and it was 2.1, which was within what I was thinking. I was thinking two-ish, one way or the other, and 2.1 is fine. And I picked some nice tile. I mean, it's hard not to upgrade because, like for example, that door back there was super cheap, but by the time I got four total, three more just like it, that was 20 grand. That's $600. Not a lot of money, but you keep doing that, and it adds up. All the tile here is super cheap, and it's gorgeous. The Thais are great at tile. They manufacture a lot of their own tile in country. I like supporting the Thais, so I was only too happy to do that. But dang it, by the time I picked all my nice tile and everything, it was 135 grand, no, it was close to 200 grand with the tile and the plumbing fixtures. It was at the same place. So, so it's just stuff like that, and I'll tell you, I bought the windows and doors. Now, if I would have known that Fawn's one distant cousin was like the world's greatest genius for window and door installation, I would have run every single thing through him. Sadly, I only ran 3/4 of the doors and all the windows, praise God, through him. And everything he installed looked like God put it in. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm a Christian, but I'm just saying it's a phrase, okay? And his work is impeccable. Doors are a real pain in the neck. I want to say something else, but doors are a real pain in the neck here. They're getting a door so you don't have a giant 2 or 3 inch gap under it, or the door doesn't have to be cut 2 or 3 inches to be somewhat, that typical 3/8 of an inch above the floor or something like that. I mean, we had to rip a whole bunch of doors out and then reset them in the concrete, and I felt terrible, but the doors were going to be in the floor 3 inches, and the doors aren't that tall to begin with. I'm only 5'9", but I was looking at hitting my head on some, and I don't want to be hitting my head on the doors in my own house. I mean, that's crazy. So I, as nicely as I could, and with Fawn's dad, I had a little cooey, a chat with her dad beforehand, so he could break the news and kind of blame me, and that's fine. But we had to do that, which really is unfortunate. But so when I found out I could do sliding doors, and the window guy does sliding doors, I switched to sliding. And hang on, you can see the sliding door right there in my library. Only problem is, look at where the light switch is behind the door. You have to open and then close the door to get to the light switch because the electrical was already in. So so it's kind of silly, but at the last minute I changed to a sliding. I was going to have the door swing against the other wall, and that wasn't going to fly. I did not want to have some crazy flipping door in my nice library. This is the highest level of finish in the whole house. It's got 2 different colors on the walls. It's got a beautiful black granite tile that's gorgeous. And I got all these solid teak wood shelves back here. I got one more row of shelves to put on the top. They're going to go over the door. So this is kind of a classy room. It's got a nice rug, fancy drapes. It's got some hand-carved local artwork and stuff in here. My paddle, my paddle in here, kind of crazy. So the door thing, don't let that get you. And I'll tell you another weird thing I ran into was roofing. The ceramic tile or concrete tile roofs, really, if you do them right, they're really not much more expensive than the metal sheet roofing with the 2 inches of foam, and that's a vastly superior construction, obviously. I always wanted to do a metal sheet roof. Just as an engineer, I find metal sheet interesting because of its efficiency economically and thermally. But and I'm glad I did it, no regrets. But if I was doing it with a full knowledge now, 2020 hindsight, I would have done the glazed ceramic tiles and then created a little attic space, invented the hell out of the attic and insulated it. And there's all kinds of ways to do that here. When you do an attic, and the attic only needs to be 1 foot, 2 foot tall. Okay, it doesn't have to be big, but you want to vent it at the bottom and at the top, nothing in the middle, and you want those vents open, and more open. Screen them for insects, but leave them all open, wide open. Your attic is supposed to be the same temperature as the outside. How many attics have you crawled into that are 140 degrees and it's 80 outside? That's terrible. Don't do that. And it's 100 here in the summer, 105. You don't want a 180-degree attic above your head. Trust me, you're not going to like that. So there's your tutorial on. I used to do attic inspections for Citizens Insurance at one point with my 5-year span in my insurance-based construction company. A lot of fun, crazy memories. But I know more about attics than I ever wanted to. Let me tell you. What else went kind of weird? The Our permit meant to dig 1.5 meters deep, not 1.4 and not 1.6. Our permit was for 1.5 meter deep excavation on the filled land, the best engineered fill that I could do here. You know, I picked the good dirt and had it picked down best I could with the local, limits I was working with. And we hit soft, like quicksand, I'll call it, like a quicksand type material. Like a good lay term there, and at 1.5 meters, and then the head of the Huana Chang, the boss of the construction company, goes, well, that we're done. That's it, and we'll just pour the concrete on top of that. I said, if you do that, I'll never accept it, and I'm not going to pay you. And I think I screamed that, actually, which I shouldn't have done either of those things. Ultimately, I just went to Fawn and her dad and said, I cannot do this. If you do this, I'm going to stop. Because I won't build a house on literal water, because I know what's going to happen. I'm not going to put, 2 million baht is 60 grand. I'm not putting 60 grand on water and watching it sink. I'll refuse. And they were shocked to get that reaction from me, but I mean, what are you going to do with that? Fawn, I gave her like 3 options. I won't walk you through it, but she took the smart one. She and the Chong guy, they took a post hole digger and concrete posts, which are 1.33 meters tall or something, and they sunk 2 posts at the bottom of each pit. And that's enough. That's fine. And I had 27 columns. This is a small house, but it has 27 columns. I know that because the locals freaked out. They'd never seen 27 columns go up in a house before. They thought it was going to be some big giant house because you can't see proportions from the street. I just put a concrete column, at the corner of every room. And those are all laid out in a checkerboard pattern, so there's common widths and common lengths of rooms across the house. It's like second grade romper room simple. I did that on purpose to be able to control the proportion, shape, and size of the home. And I figured nothing marks a location like a freaking column. And they're careful with those columns. They might run a wall willy-nilly, but they know, even the guys in the country type construction, which is what I used, they know those columns got to be spot on. And it's easy to come out here and look at the mold. They run these big molds. Run the molds for the columns, and you can eyeball, and they either all line up or they don't. And I came out every morning with my coffee, and I was doing this and doing that in the Chong. And the first day, I caught him on 2. The second day, he's smiling at me. He's waiting for me. We played a little game. I'd go and look. I'd nod to him and give him my respect. He got them all correct, and we made a little game out of it. And every Friday, I bought extra beer and alcohol and complimented him on how good his workmanship was. I did my best to manage this in a friendly, possible, good way that I could. And with all those columns, the house is laid out exactly as I wanted, and it generally worked out well. They like to lay tile here, going into tile. They like to lay it just taking concrete and dropping a dry tile on top of wet concrete, and they assume that'll bond it. And people back home do that too, so I'm not making fun of just the Thai guys. And the Thai guys here have a lot, they don't get any formal training. They're all typically rice farmers off season. They say, hey, go do this, hey, go do that, and they just go do it, and they do the best they can, okay? But if you take adhesive concrete, Boon is concrete, and Neo is adhesive or sticky. Like cow Neo is sticky rice. I said Boon Neo. I said I call Boon Neo. And we use sticky concrete, also known as mortar, and we buttered the back of each tile and the floor as we set them. And this was a big pushback. This is the biggest pushback I got on the whole project. The contractors had never done that method before. They'd always done the traditional Thai method. And in the end, he never said a word to me, but he told Fawn privately, actually he told Fawn's dad privately, who told Fawn, who told me, that he was going to run all his houses that way in the future, that it was a far superior system. It's common for the tiles here to pop up over time in Thailand, just due to the fact there's no adhesive on the back, and concrete doesn't stick to you'd think it would, but it's not like you think. Could you make it kind of stick? Maybe. But not dropping it like that just on top of wet concrete ain't going to do it, I can tell you. Not in a guaranteed reliable basis. So that was a big thing. We used 4-room air conditioners, the mini splits, the ductless mini splits they're known as. There's the 18 BTU for my private library where I'm at right now, and I've got a 25,000 BTU for the big room, 24,000 BTU, just different brand, different cutoff on the size for my master bedroom. And I got the old 18,000 BTU from our old rental room that I technically rented from Fawn while I was recovering in the guest room, which her boys stay in 4 nights a week. So, and then Fawn is extremely considerate about not running more than one or two air conditioners at once. I'll turn one on if I want or not. I don't really worry about it. My electrical bill is 2,500 baht, so maybe 75, maybe $80 a month total for everything. That's when the it's been hot. This has been the hottest year of the 4 years I've been here, and all my Thai friends say this is the hottest year they can remember. Well, I'm old and retired, and I just want to be comfortable in my home, so I run the air at a 20, usually 27 Celsius, whatever that works out to Fahrenheit. I couldn't tell you. I'm going to run a slideshow. And so I guess that's probably how it went, how the process was. Strong not recommend. Don't think that what I don't want this video to be is, hey, it's fun to build a house. Hey, it's so great. It's fraught with frustration. There's a lot of scamming and thievery involved. And generally, the whole economics of owning real estate here works out very poorly for the Thai people and works out even less well for you as a foreign resident. So really only do it if it's necessary. Like, what you should be hearing from me is I got the screaming deal of all time with the quality materials, the 27 columns, the completely underpinned and steel reinforced foundation under the entire home, all these crazy things I did as an engineer, all these extra expenses, all the high level finishes, all the top level solid teak, everything, and that includes the furniture, by the way, all of that for 2.1 million baht and plus a 400 for the wall. And another guy built the same wall I did for 800. It was 20 meters shorter, so I know I got a good deal on the wall. All that, I got the screaming deal of a lifetime, and I'm telling you, it barely makes any financial sense for me to have this home. Even if I use this for 15 years or something, I could have run, I'll try and put some math on the screen or something, but I could have, let's say I stay here in Thailand full-time for, let's say, 15 let's even say 20 years. Let's say at some point I got to go back home more because I'm going to need more health care, and I do need to circle back with my kids before I get really old and die, okay? So let's just say I'm here for 20 years. I could rent a really nice condo. They start at, because I looked, in the city of Korat, pool, gym, in-house laundry. You pay for it, but in-house laundry and all the women you could flirt with. I have fun, but if I didn't, and everything there, gated parking, everything. Those start at 8,000 baht per month, and they're nice. And the pool is like an Olympic, spotless, gorgeous pool with landscape grounds. And that's at The Change in Korat. High recommend. And their stuff goes up from 8,000. That's their cheapest, but they got nicer stuff when it's available. And those are like 10, 12,000. And then you get around 14 to 18,000 baht per month. You can go to Condo Plus, I think it's called. That's like the most expensive condo in Korat, give or take. I'm not a real estate expert, okay? But you see what I'm saying? And I could have done that, okay? But none of those have any kind of private yard. Here I got my yard, I got my garage for my motorcycle, I got my own private hose bib, I have my own hose, I wash and detail my bike once a week, and I have my private library. I'm never going to get a two-bedroom with a private library and a big living room and a Harley-Davidson themed bar, you know what I mean? I'm not going to get that. And I built this because I wanted to, not because I needed it so much. And I got a gym area where I have my Muay Thai bag, and now I do the world's worst, slowest, clumsiest Muay Thai you've ever seen. Once every 2 weeks as I recover from major spinal surgery. But I doubt this works out for me mathematically. Now, it's a nice legacy for Fawn. I can see her and her boys living here when she's, 70 years old, and I'm obviously gone by then. And, and then her boys are in their, what the heck, they're in their mid-40s or something, This is a nice legacy for her. The house is not so big. I'm a bohemian at heart. I call this my bohemian mansion because it's kind of big for a simple guy, but it's not a big house. It's not, it's 1,100 square feet. That's a small house in the United States. But so Fawn could manage the electrical bill here. She could manage the upkeep on this. And the gate, the gampang, the fence around it, keeps her safe and secure. So it's a nice legacy. It's a nice thank you for me for her taking care of me all these years. I've known her for 4 years, and we've been exclusive for over 3. And she helped me pick some of my dates early on as I knew her. She was a friend. We were friends, mutual friends. And after a while, it dawned on me, this Fawn's really sharp. And she's pretty, and maybe I should ask her out. And this is my way of leaving something positive behind here in Thailand, as I'm attempting to leave positive things behind with my 2 children back in the United States, particularly with my son, whom I share a nice apartment with. All right, that's the house. I'll go to the slideshow, and thanks for your patience. Okay, so here's the back of our house. There's the free structure the Chong gave us, and here's a typical view from my library, which I love, and which looks out over the front and backyards. The backyard is a private play area and such, and then we're getting into the big main room there, and those are the front doors also in the big main room, and then you'll see the my bar there, which I'm a very light drinker, but I just wanted to have a bar. I don't know why. And there's a nice shot of my library with the granite floor, very, very pretty. Another shot of it. Just love this room. It's so peaceful for me and so relaxing. And there's my little table where I make my my videos at often. And there's a great shot of the main room when they were electrical guys were there working on some stuff. The ceiling's so tall, it is a little bit inconvenient in some ways, but you know, you take the good with the bad, right? And all this wood is solid teak, all bought from the same store. They harvest it up in the north and bring it down and fabricate it right here in Karat. There's our bedroom. You get a nice view of the ceiling with that too, which I think helps. And there's Fawn's work loft, which she turned into a clothing loft, which is cute. I mean, she can do anything she wants with it. It's her room. Here's a shot of our bathroom. And then here's the front of the home. I just took this shot, casual, everyday shot the other day. And there's Fawn opening or closing the gate, I think. And there's my Castle Keep hallway, I call it, the architectural concept of compression. You can look that up if you like. And here's just the Chong working on some final underground pipe and stuff like that, just to show you a little bit of the everyday. And here's me channeling my best Arnold Schwarzenegger and failing, but I'm having my fun out here, you know what I mean? And the monk showed up one day randomly, and Fawn's parents prayed to them, and that was fine. And we're getting some gravel delivered. Her parents have put all the gravel in and all the landscaping, all the labor for free. And here's Fawn doing her outdoor laundry. She has a laundry room, but she's a traditional Isan woman. She's going to do her laundry, and there's her boys swimming, we'll call it. Okay, to wrap up this video, it would not be complete if I didn't talk about legal a little bit. I lay this all out in much greater detail in my book. This is an area where I don't pull any punches in the book. I pull very few on my channel, and I take some heat for that. But in the book, there are none pulled. And if someone's going to feel triggered by what I'm about to say, then they can keep their thoughts to themselves. You should know that after the first rude comment, I ban people. I used to give people 3-4 chances, and I was wasting my time counting 3 or 4 chances. Once somebody is like that, they're just going to be like that. So you notice you don't see a lot of rude comments on the channel anymore. Gee, that's funny, but we're all happier now. A lot of guys take a lot of confidence, and if something makes you feel good, that's great, but it's just a feel good. You can do a usufruct, you can do a 30-year lease with an actual lease agreement where you've agreed to pay so much per month, all these things. Here's part of the problem. A lot of these agreements, you have to be able to prove and show good faith throughout the entire period of the contract. So if you've got a 30-year lease, great. Where's your payments? Where's your record of payment? Was the payment? Would you pay like 10 baht per month as a token thing for your lease? Nobody ever actually makes the payments, and a judge will see right through that, see it for what it is, and your contract's null and void. The biggest problem, though, and I'll keep this brief because I don't want to make this a legal video, is that Thai law has laws that we don't have in the West, and some of those have real teeth. And here's just one example. I could probably come up with 10. Here's just one example, and this one example on its own is more than enough, should be more than enough to negate all your interest in a potential legal contractual battle in Thailand. The law for perjury in Thailand carries with it serious prison time. Are you interested in doing serious prison time in Thailand? I'm not. You know, if somebody else is, that's great. More power to you. Enjoy your prison time. I'm not going. I'm not interested. And if you were accused of perjury by a Thai citizen, which that will be, let me check, your new ex-wife, you are now running the risk for perjury. You're going to have to prove you didn't. This isn't, they have great laws, real laws here, and foreigners win in court all the time. Foreigners take scammers to court on evidence showing all the texts and how they were goaded falsely into paying money to somebody, and they get their money back and the scammer goes to jail. There's real laws here. However, you're going to have to prove you're innocent. This isn't the United States, for example, where I'm from. So innocent until proven guilty, which is sadly kind of gone away in the last 5 or 10 years. But here there is no such concept. You will have to prove your innocence just on the accusation. So if you've got a black-hearted or scammer or just a not very nice ex-wife, and who has a nice, everybody who has a nice ex-wife, raise your, I don't see any hands. It's a terrible idea. Again, I know 2 guys here that stayed and fought. One, I knew him quite well. Ugly, ugly, ugly story. I've only told part of the story because the rest of it's too ugly to tell. Think about that. So I don't want to be involved in a legal fight. I don't recommend anyone getting involved in a legal fight in a country that's not their home country. I've been in court more times than I would prefer because I was a independent inventor and serial small business entrepreneur. When you have a patent, every big company wants to break your patent because they don't want to pay you. It's a pain in the neck. At first, it sounds exciting because you're going to win, you're going to get money, and in the end, it's just a big, giant drain of your time and your life force, and it takes your whole life not down a notch or two. It takes it way down. It's no fun unless you're some kind of sick person or something. What I did is I have a document signed by the village leader, signed by Fawn and her mom and myself. Those would be all of the potentially interested parties that I could foresee reasonably, and it just says that this is mine. I have an exclusive right to use, and I have an exclusive right of occupancy and exclusive right of use. You have to have both, because just because you can use it doesn't mean you can occupy it. You got to have both, okay? And for 30 years. How would that hold up in court? I don't really know, and I don't really care. But it gives me a piece of paper to point to in the future if one of her boys is acting up. Let's just say one of the boys gets everybody does something wrong at some point in their life, gets involved in smoking cigarettes, and it goes to his head, and he becomes a rude guy or something. I don't know. And I can say, look, you little guy, you're going to behave. I got this paper. I'm going to toss your butt out. You know what I mean? And that's all it was there for. It's like having I used to keep a tiny padlock on my liquor cabinet back home in my days when I was married in the West and I had 2 kids. And my kids loved it. My daughter actually asked me to put one on there because her friends were pressuring her to open the liquor cabinet. It just kept an honest person honest. And that's what my paper does. It keeps an honest person honest. I'm not interested in fighting stuff out over here. And I really don't recommend that you do that. If you're at all unconfident and unsure about underconfident or unsure about your circumstances, doubt means don't in Thailand. It really does. I was an aggressive, what we used to call a balls out, crazy, forward driving, driven guy, and I did all these crazy business deals, and people say the product couldn't be developed, and I'd figure out a way to develop it, and you'd find out the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is a tenth the size you were envisioning and all that stuff. But I don't do that anymore. I'm retired, and any kind of doubt, don't. You know, I had a weird falling out with a expat friend over here. Don't need it. You don't want the hassle here. Things have a way of, in Thailand, coming back and biting you in the hindquarters, as we might say in Detroit. So you get the idea. Watch the legal stuff. Don't get carried away with it. And just watch who you let into your life overseas, and you'll be much happier for it. Thanks. Well, that was fun joking with Kun Paul, but I walked up to the Lansi Yak, the small store at the 4-way intersection, which is what that means. And it was closed. Which they do. It's a family-run store. If they got to go somewhere, they just close it, and I get that. So that means, fortunately for me, I got to fire up this big bad boy and go to the bigger stores a little further away. I'd walk there. It'd be great exercise. But the soy dogs there aren't familiar with me. And fighting it out with a couple of really big soy dogs was not on my list of things to do today. So we're taking the Harley Davidson. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. If you've watched this far, please consider hitting like and subscribe.